Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Anisha and thank you so much for joining me today. Today I'm setting up my TBR for the magical Readathon Spring Equinox. If you're not familiar, this is an year-long Readathon hosted by G from Bookroast. I have already posted 2 videos related to this Readathon on my channel. So here is a quick glimpse of some of the pages from those setups. You can check them out in the description where I'll also link G's original video for full context. From the materials G provided in her original video, I have already printed out the ones I need and I'll be using them in today's setup. I also picked some magical theme sticker sheets that will go well with the overall theme. And I have picked out this washi tape that I am going to pair with the stickers. Okay, now let's get into the setup. As I mentioned, this is an year-long challenge. The main event takes place in April and September during spring and autumn equinox. There's also an Adventure in Aeldia challenge running throughout the year, along with some optional quests and side activities. So the basic idea is you create the character, enroll them in a magical academy, and based on their calling, aka their magical career path, they need to study specific subject during the semesters. Here on the left hand side, I have created a simple cover page for the setup. Now on the right, I'm sticking down the scholar's key, which is like an ID card for my character. Now this is my character. Her name is Alara Evren. If you check out my character creation video in my channel, you can know more about my character, her origin and everything else about her. So now I'm filling out some basic information about my character on the scholar's key. Her name is Alara Evren and she belongs to the House of the Arcane, which is essentially a magical house that you are sorted into. For this semester, the callings I am considering are Archmage and Lexomancer. Since this is my first year, Alara is a novice. Her background is urban, she is from the province of Kerador and her heritage is human. As for the conduits, I didn't see any limitation on how many conduits a character can have. I might be missing some rules, but I read the prompt for all the conduits, so I have included them all here, which is a feather, a wand, a spellbook, staff, sword, orb, and a crystal. Now for the guild's legacy. Alara's legacy is the monocle of vigilance, and she also has a phoenix familiar. So that's the basic info about my character. Now let's move on to the next section. Now this is the syllabus for the spring equinox. There are various subjects available at the Magical School of Aurelium and you must attend specific classes to qualify for the callings you have chosen for yourself. The first calling I have chosen for this semester is Archmage, which is an exclusive path available only to the member of House of the Arcane. Since I belong to this house, it felt fitting, almost necessary to pursue it. For the spring semester, I am required to attend 6 classes to fulfill this calling, which is Alchemy, Inscription, Artificery, Spells and Incantation, Art of Illusion, and Conjuration. The second calling I have selected is a Lexomancer. This is a newly introduced calling in this year's syllabus, and as someone passionate about language and linguistics, I couldn't resist picking it up. So for the spring equinox, this one requires 5 subjects: conjuration, spells and incantation, inscription, lore and restoration. Now, some of the classes for both callings overlap, but according to the rules, I cannot count a single class for both callings. For example, inscription is required for both Archmage and Lexomancer, which means I'm technically expected to attend it twice, essentially reading 2 separate books that fulfill the prompt in distinct ways. I'm not sure I can manage that. If I follow the rules strictly and attend separate classes for each calling, I'll end up reading 11 books this month, which is a bit more than my usual monthly average of 8 or 9 books. But since there are 3 subjects common for both callings, I might be able to manage with just 1 book for each of those shared classes. That would bring my total down to 8 books, which is perfectly within my comfort zone. So ideally, I would love to complete all 11 books, but if that's not feasible, I'll stick with 8 and adjust as I need it. Let's see how far I can push myself this month. Now, let's set up my TBR. I have started by roughly sketching some bookshelves by hand, where I'll stick the book covers for each subject I am tackling. I just did a freehand drawing for the shelves and it's not perfect, but it definitely gives off the vibe I wanted. It does the job and I'm happy with how it turned out. The first subject is Alchemy, and the prompt is to read a book with all caps title. For this, I have chosen 20 Years Later by Charlie Donnelly. Next up is Inscription. The prompt for this subject is the first sentence challenge. Basically, I can try out the first sentence of 3 books and choose one that intrigues me the most. Since inscription is required for both of my callings, I'm planning to read 2 books for it. Finlay Donovan is Killing It by Elie Cosimano and Gallon by V. Schwab. Ideally, I'll be reading both of these books, but if time doesn't allow it, I'll be content with just one. The next subject is Artificery. The prompt here is to read a book with the title that corresponds to the time when I first heard about the challenge. So when G announced the Spring Equinox challenge on YouTube, I watched the video around 9 am. So my number is 9. Now I need to pick a book with either 9 letters or 9 words in the title. And I chose Half a Soul by Olivia Atwater, which fits perfectly with its 9-letter title. The next subject is spells and incantations. The prompt here is to choose a word from the title of the book I was reading while planning this TBR and pick a new book that includes the same word. So, at the time I was reading, Everyone in My Family Has Killed Someone by Benjamin Stevenson. So, I selected two books featuring words from that title since this subject overlap both my callings. The first one is Everyone on This Train is a Suspect by the same author, and the second is The Happy Family by Jackie Kabler. Next, for the art of illusion, the prompt is to read a book I had already planned to read this month. I have chosen The Inheritance Games, which has been sitting on my TBR for a while. Now for conjuration, the prompt is to use a random country generator up to 5 times and then choose a book by an author from one of those 5 countries. I have made a slight adjustment to this rule. For me, the book doesn't have to be written by an author from that country. Instead, I consider it valid if either the author is from that country, the story is set there, or the book significantly involves that country in its plot. That's the same approach I use for my Reader on the World challenge, and I'm applying it here as well. Since I need conjuration for both my callings, I have selected two books, The Book Thief for Germany and The Beekeeper of Aleppo for Syria. Next up is lore, for which the prompt is to read a book with a musical term in the title, and I have chosen A Ballad of Love and Glory by Reina Grande for this subject. And finally, for restoration, the prompt is to pick a book with an average rating of 4 stars or higher. For this, I have selected The Covenant of Water by Abraham Verghese. So these are the books I have chosen for my main TBR. I also decided to take on a couple of supplementary qualifications and opportunities, which I'll get into in a moment. For now, I'm decorating this page with some of the stickers I showed earlier. Now for the supplementary qualifications and opportunities, I have decided to take on two, the Dragon Riding License and the Sandship Engineering Certification. Now, I'm not entirely sure if the rule requires us to complete these within the spring equinox itself, but if that's the case, I'm definitely bending the rules a bit. There is no way I can manage these on top of my TBR, so I have decided to work toward fulfilling the requirements gradually, sometime over the course of the year. For the setup, I'm keeping it simple again, just roughly hand drawing a few boxes where I can later showcase the books and shows I'll be choosing for these certifications. For the dragon riding license, the requirement is to read 2 books featuring dragons and to watch a movie or a show that includes a dragon. And for the Soundship Engineer certification, I need to read 2 books set in desert and doodle a ship. So I have left space on the right hand side to record the books, shows and the ship sketch later. I haven't finalized my picks yet and won't be completing these during the spring equinox. I plan to take my time and finish them over the course of the year. So with that, my spring equinox TBR setup is now complete. So let's do a final flip through. Alright, that's it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. If you're also taking part in Magical Readathon, I would love to hear from you. Let me know in the comments which guild you are in and what calling you have chosen for this semester. Don't forget to check out the rest of my channel for more journaling content. I'll see you in the next video. Bye!